What's up, guys? Eli here. Back for a new stuff video. One that I didn't really plan on, but I just kind of amassed a couple things over the last couple weeks. And I feel like every time I do one of these, I'm like, all right, I'm not going to do one of these for a while. I'm not going to have any money to spend. I'll have to show you my old shit. But I don't know. You manage to accumulate a couple things here and there, and they add up pretty quick. So I went to my local record store on Record Day, which is funny because I didn't buy any Record Day releases from this year. I ended up buying a Record Store Day release from last year, which was weird that they had it out in the Record Store Day stuff. I picked this up and the guy was like, "Oh yeah, that's from last year," and I was like, "Huh. I don't care. I want it." And I didn't really even look around that much. Record Store Day is cool. It's fun. It's cool. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's fucking way overblown, and I'm not really going to, I'm not gonna look up releases prior to Record Store Day, get my fucking heart set on them, and then I get to my store and they don't have it, or they had one copy and it's fucking sold out, which is what has happened to me before. A couple of years back, there was like this Candlemass picture disc from their debut album, and I get there and I was like, hey, I'll take that Candlemass picture disc, because I figured there aren't a lot of metal fans in my town. And the guy's like, the guy that worked there, a buddy of mine actually, he's like, "Oh, well, some dude slept in his car last night." and he fucking bought it. He waited all night for it. I'm like, what a fucking idiot. So anyways, didn't get any new releases, new Record Store Day releases. I did get a fairly new release as far as I know. I also went to Goodwill, picked up a couple odds and ends. I don't usually go to Goodwill, and when I do, I don't usually find anything. So don't worry, that's nothing impressive. I'm just stating that's where I got a couple of these things. And also a local media store that I go to a lot. So, and we only have a couple stores where you can buy, like cool horror movies and records and stuff like that. It's very limited here. And I doubt that'll ever change. So anyways, I think I'm just going to start off with a bang. Sometimes I save like the coolest shit for last, but I think I'm going to show the coolest shit, or at least the coolest thing I have here. I think I'm just going to show it first. And honestly, I don't think that many of you are going to care about this. I know probably most people that watch this channel and watch most, YouTube metal-oriented channels watch it for more extreme metal and stuff like that. And a lot of this isn't even metal. There's nothing real extreme here at all, that's kind of been the case in a lot of my updates lately, but that's just kind of my taste. It fluctuates. And anyways, as you guys know, I'm a big Toto fan. No, this isn't a Toto record per se, but this is a side project with Toto members involved. It was only, as far as I know, I think this was only a one-off project. I think they only ever did this album. I'm not an expert. If I'm wrong about that, I'm sorry. But that's what I always had thought. I've only even been aware of this record for maybe a year or something like that. And yeah, some of you might be guessing. Many of you are probably like, what the fuck are you talking about? But that would be the Los Lobotomies record. I love how the cover art was done by Jeff Porcaro, R.I.P. Jeff. Jeff was as some of you probably know, the drummer for Toto. He died, some years back, and he'll never be forgotten. His legacy that he left behind was huge. His influence was massive. He still has, just fucking clusters of fans to this day. You go to his strumming instructional videos and stuff like that on YouTube. He still has comments probably from last week. So that's awesome. It's awesome to pass away and leave a legacy that you'll be remembered for, hopefully forever. So this came out originally in 1989 on Creachi Records, under license to Rouge Records. So this is a Rouge Records, new pressing, will be from last year at least. So as you can see on the back, these are the members involved: David Garfield, Steve Lukather, Jeff Porcaro, Will Lee, Bren Bon Flibes. Sorry, I'm reading this backwards. Lenny Castro. Let's just Brandon Fields. Jesus Christ, did I just say Brenbon Flibes? Lenny Castro, Joe Sample, Carlos Vega, and Vinny Colaiuta. Oh man. See, if I knew how to do any editing, I would totally edit that part out, but I don't, and I'm not. So, anyways, Los Lobotomies is basically like a jazz fusion, basically like a fusion project. I'm spending all this time showing this because I'm so proud of it, and I swear I don't think anyone's gonna care, but what? But that's fine. It's a double LP. Got the those cool center labels. I don't know how this is going to show up on camera. It's kind of purpley. It is kind of I don't even know what to call it. It's kind of like a reddish purple. Which is funny because when I first got this and looked at it, I thought it was red, but it's like a I don't know. It's like a reddish purple. And the other record is actually blue. Both clear vinyl, so yeah, man, it's a fun record to listen to. This project did play live at one point or at some points or whatever, and yeah, it's just something I'm really, really happy to have. That's like, one of my scores of the year probably. And like I said, I doubt any of you watching will care, but there might be. We'll see where that goes. It's not the point anyways. We'll move on to a couple CDs that I got. Most of these are just random purchases. I had no plans on getting any of these actually, but yeah. I was at one of my local stores the other day. I was mostly looking there to pick up some movies. I've just been watching a ton of movies lately and just really enjoying that. I figured their music selection at this store sucks, and it's rare that they get new stuff and whatever. So I thought I'd do a quick browse, and I just saw this album. I'd read quite a few reviews and quite a few, fan, feedback blurbs or whatever online last year, mostly when this came out, and feedback was pretty amazing. It's a band that I've known about for probably over a decade, maybe 15 years. Never really went after. I don't even know if I've heard any of it, to be honest, anything from this band. But anyways, got the newest release, 2019, Avantasia, Moonglow. Tobias Sammet's Avantasia, I guess you'd call it. Tobias Sammet is from the power metal band Ed Guy. I used to be in that kind of European power metal stuff, that kind of modern European power metal. Not so much anymore. I've heard Ed Guy. I liked some of it, back maybe 10, 15 years ago. Haven't really listened to anything since then, but yeah, man. There's a whole bunch of guest stars on here. It does say on the back. You got like Hansi Kirsch, Mila Petroza from Creator. Who else do I even know? Most of these guys I don't even know. You got Jorn Land. You got Mr. Jeff Tate. And you got Michael Kinski. Assuming there are some cool guest stars on this album. Guest singers, I should say. And yeah, I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm stoked for it. I think I'll at least get some enjoyment out of it. And that same day when I picked up that Los Lobotomies record, I actually picked up this, and this isn't a release from this year. This is a Sons of Satan, Venom, rare and unreleased. It's basically a demo comp, really, really cool. I guess the hype sticker on it was on this CD, and I guess they put it on the vinyl also, and so the hype sticker says new liner notes and interviews, and I guess they either forgot to put that in the vinyl or just forgot that the sticker says that it's on there and they didn't, plan on including it. But so the vinyl, you don't get the interviews and liner notes and stuff, which is fucking weird, but you get it with the CD. So yeah, man, really, really cool stuff. I love Venom. I'm a big, big fan. I'm glad to have this. And I was just going to kind of tell you what you get here. You get the 1979 Church Hall rehearsals. You get the 1980 50-pound demo recordings, Impulse Studios. You get the 1980 Impulse Studios demo sessions. and you get some. I think it's only one song, one song recorded at Impulse Studios in 1983. So that's pretty cool. And if memory serves, Impulse Studios, and I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, Impulse Studios was where most of Neat Records bands were sent to. And so Kronos, I don't know what he did exactly, but he had a job there. He actually worked at Impulse Studios for a while. And that's how he, got the Venom demo stuff recorded there at a sought-after studio. That's the only reason it ever happened, is just because he worked there. Probably would have never happened otherwise. I knew that from years back. I've only skimmed some of the liner notes and interviews, but there's a part here where he says, like, he was a little nervous because of, like, the quality of bands that were coming into that studio, in and out, and, here he was with a very young Venom who, couldn't really compare to most of those bands. Most of those bands, Venom were new, fairly new, and he said most of those bands had already been, they'd already been, like, playing pubs and stuff for the last couple years, and they were tight and really good, and he was a little intimidated, if you can imagine Kronos admitting to that. But yeah, really, 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 really cool. Like I said, I've only read a couple pages of the liner notes, but they're really good. Really, definitely worth reading. And I also picked this up. I do have this. I do have like a remaster of this, but this is the original CD pressing. Which honestly, I only picked this up because it was $1. Kevin, I'll probably be sending this your way. We have the Yes album by Yes, 1971. So this album, this is a good album, and the reason I say I'm probably going to be sending it to Kevin is because he likes Yes. He's not super familiar with them, but it's a band that he's wanted to kind of get into a little more, maybe. And I could be wrong. I don't think he's ever heard a full album. From what he told me before. Like I said, I don't know if I remember that correctly. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because this is a decent place to start. People always ask the question with any band, really, like, where's a good place to start? And that's a fair question, but it's also kind of a loaded question, because a good place to start with a band, there's no good place to start with any band. It depends on... there's a lot of factors that impact that question. It depends on how much Yes have you heard. Have you ever heard Yes? How much prog have you heard? Do you like prog at all? I mean, that's those are all questions that. But anyways, for most people, I would say, just overall, this is not a bad place to start. This is kind of when they started to get really good, in my opinion. They had an album before, and fun fact, about my experience with this album, for the longest time, I actually thought this was their debut album, because their debut album was called Yes, and this is called the Yes album, and I mixed up the two. But yeah, this is their debut album is pretty good, but it's like a debut album of a lot of legendary bands. Yes, it shows the promise that would come later on, but it's not, it's just, there's no way it could be as good as what would follow it. And I think the Yes album is far better than Yes, their debut album, but, why wouldn't it be? So, anyways, yeah, man, I love Yes, and like I said, I grabbed it for $1, and knowing that I already own the remaster, I'll probably send one of the two to Mr. Kevin. These next couple things are just some random. When I was at Goodwill, these are some of the random things that I grabbed at Goodwill. This album I bought, A, because it was cheap, and I figured I could easily trade this off and get something cool for it. But B, because I owned this album back when I was like 16. This came out in 94, so I was actually 12 when this came out. So I was 16 when I bought it. I liked it then, but literally I think I stopped listening to it by the time I was probably 18. Haven't listened to it since. I'm not a big fan of this band in general, and I don't know if I've ever heard anything beyond this from this band, to be honest. And this is going to shock a lot of you, and I kind of want to just re-listen to it because it's been 22 years since I've heard it, and I just want to see what I think about it now. Just kind of a fun, nostalgic project, I guess. We got Nine Inch Nails with a Downward Spiral. Like I said, I'm not a Nine Inch Nails fan. I was for a year or two in my teens. I'm just not a fan. I always thought the packaging was cool, though. You had this, the slip case with a nice thick booklet, and they used one of those cool CD cases. They used to use these for singles back in the 90s. You might remember them. They're really skinny, and they always had a clear cover on the other side where you could see the CD. I love those. Maggot Stomp. I showed them earlier this year. Maggot Stomp actually got their hands on some of these and used them for a couple of their releases, which I thought was really, 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 really fucking cool. I don't usually show shit like this on my channel because I don't really feel like it. It's just not what I focus on. I'm not a massive gamer, but I have been kind of like recollecting like late 90s, early 2000s games that I was into back then, like as a teenager. And this one I wasn't necessarily, but I do remember it. I just never did get it. And also, I also bought it as kind of a middle finger to a lot of the locals that live here where I live. So we have Deer Avenger 2. It's just a cool, fun-looking first-person shooter, obviously, where you're a deer and you get to kill hunters and stuff. And I thought that was pretty... Well, I assume you kill them. I don't know. Maybe you don't. But yeah, I thought that was funny, and I'm going to play it. Alright, so what we have left is just some horror movies, just a couple of them. All just random buys. None of these I was looking for, planning on buying. We'll start with a movie that I was kind of excited for because in the store, before I bought this, I read some quick reviews online, and it seemed like this was going to be a really good movie. Spoiler alert, it's not. I don't like it. I was instantly, after the movie was over, I was instantly bummed. Like, I almost wanted my money back. I only spent like $6 on this, but I was like, I was just so underwhelmed and disappointed. Something that actually doesn't happen to me a lot lately. It just, I don't know. It just kind of pissed me off a little bit. But there's an upside to that story as well. So the movie I'm talking about is Mr. Jones. This came out on Anchor Bay Films. Came out, in 2013. I thought it was newer than that. But anyways, 2013. I don't know, man. It's just pretty much about this this couple who move to a cabin like way out in the in the woods or in the boonies, whatever you want to call it. They're from the city. They just want to get away. They're both artists. They want to get away from the hustle and bustle and just focus on their art. And they start finding these weird totems, as you see here, and the story unfolds from there. The right director could have made a really, really cool movie based on that story that I just told you. Like a Guillermo del Toro could have owned the shit out of this, or even like Cosmos Panatos or someone like that, man, could have just made a masterpiece out of this. However, what's the guy's name that directed this? Carl Mueller, wrote it and directed. I don't know, man. It's an ambitious movie. He does not deliver. Sorry, Carl. So I was talking about this on Instagram, and one of my Instagram followers comments on this, and he goes, "Yeah, that movie sucked," but he's like, "You need to check out the art by a guy named Pumpkin Rot." And I go, "Wow," who I've never heard of. He's like, "Check out his blog, man. You have to check out his blog." And he reminded me like 3 times, check out the blog. So he's a big fan, obviously. And so Pumpkin Rot is a guy. He's an artist who he makes weird, cool totems like this. He does like a lot of Halloween themed stuff. Just check out his blog, Pumpkin Rot. It's awesome. So yeah, he makes things like that. He's incredibly talented, and yeah, go check him out. So that kind of made me feel a little bit better about buying and owning this. I was like, okay, cool. You know, the art direction in this movie is really, really badass, and maybe it's worth watching for that. So that's kind of my Mr. Jones story. When I was at Goodwill, I also picked this up because I have the original, and why not buy the remake as well? I know that's a loaded question, of course. I saw this remake in the theater maybe 10 years ago or so, I think. My Bloody Valentine 3D. And it's an alright remake. It's fairly true to the original, and it's not bad. As far as horror remakes go, this is on par with the original. It's decent. Did it need to be made? Probably not. But I had never seen the original when this came out, so seeing this remake made me want to go see the original. So I guess, you know, remakes do have a purpose, I think. A lot of people like to bitch about them, and I'm not really one of them. So yeah, decent movie. 2009, 11 years ago. Yeah, it's decent. Got a couple trauma movies here. I've talked about trauma movies once or twice, you know, here on my channel. I'm not like one of those diehard trauma fans, but I like trauma stuff. I have since I was, pretty young, and I didn't really collect any of their shit until the last couple years. So I'm really into like picking up trauma movies. There's got to be hundreds of them. I don't know how many there are. If you're not familiar with trauma movies, they are series, not a series, but just basically a studio. Some of the movies are related, most of them aren't. Charles Kaufman is pretty much the brains, as far as I know, the brains behind Trauma, and he doesn't write or direct all of them, but he did create the Toxic Avenger movies, which are the most famous Trauma movies, the most well known, I would say. So I got this. This must have been like one of those public domain releases or something, that you see at like Walmart in those like little skinny cases. Mommy's Epitaph. I haven't ever seen it, but goddamn if I'm not stoked to watch it. And I also got this really fucking cool Toxie's Triple Terror kind of box set. It's 3 movies. As you can see, you got, what do we got here? Evil Clutch, Chillers, and Beyond Evil. Haven't seen any of these. Haven't even heard of any of these, to be honest. So I'm hoping some of you guys maybe... Eric, are you watching? Maybe you're familiar. Super stoked for these, though. Evil Clutch. I can give you a little synopsis, I guess, if you want. So, this is the story of a hideous monster who takes the form of a beautiful woman. In a torrent of unbelievable special effects, beauty and monstrosity transform into a climax of pure evil. And we'll just leave it at that, man. There's more, but I'll leave it at that, because I know most people don't even watch this far into my videos. So I'm glad that some of you do, though, because that's awesome. Next one, we got Chillers. I guess I should be stating what year these are from. So, Evil Clutch, 1987. Looks like Chillers came out in 87 as well. Alright. 5 lonely strangers swap ghost stories while stranded in a rural bus depot. Little do they know that the bus is scheduled to drop them off beyond their darkest fears. Sounds cool. Yeah, hopefully I'll watch some of these tonight. Crazy, this next one. John Saxon's in this one. Beyond Evil. Hell yeah, John Saxon. Didn't he just die recently? I think John Saxon passed away this year. Fucking R.I.P., man. That guy was cool as fuck. This came out in 1980. so it's way older. So a terrifying story of love and demonic possession. I'm always a fan of that kind of shit. An architect and his new bride move into a spacious colonial mansion with a bloody history. Unfortunately, a 100-year-old ghost seeking revenge already lives there. Very cool. Very cool. That's all I got, guys. I'm going to say, like I do in a lot of my new stuff videos, I don't know if I'm going to have much money to buy anything new for a while. Maybe a couple odds and ends here and there. So, but I have plenty. I still haven't even shown a third of my CD collection, so I have many more videos to come. And I think I'm going to get back into showing my tape collection. You can kind of see some of the background. I'm going to redo, I did like, 3 or 4 tape videos earlier, or a couple months ago. I'm going to redo those because I ended up moving, and I have all my tapes sorted out now. When I was showing them kind of as I was moving, and I had gotten them all mixed up. But I was just going to keep going and showing them, not in alphabetical order. But they're all alphabetized now, so I'm gonna start over. So I got that going for me. Anyways, it's Tuesday. Hope you guys are having a good week. Thanks for stopping by. We will talk soon. Cheers.